at Infowars.com or see it in super high quality, along with hundreds of other titles at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Ask yourself, is there a natural way to detoxify your body, lower blood pressure, remove heavy metals and sediment buildup in your body, alkalize and balance your pH level, and lower those cravings for junk food all at once? Find out why thousands are going natural with the world-famous Soleil.com or call 866-497-0274. 866-497-0274. Cleaning the body and home from the inside out.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
All right, folks, we are back live. It is The Alex Jones Show, and I am Jason Burmis doing the last little bit here. And I want to thank Alex Jones for all of his hospitality while I'm here all week, taking me along for that big Willie Nelson, Jesse Ventura trip that you can see right now on Infowars.com, Riding with Willie. Hell yeah, there's a need for a new 9/11 investigation, and that's on the legendary tour bus. Of course, conversations with Ventura and Willie, you know, footage from the backyard. It's just all around great, and they have even more. I mean, I don't think they've put out the Willie on the lawnmower shot, but they will. We're also going to be taking your calls. We got jammed phones right now. But before we do that, I do want to play this clip of basically a cameraman just trying to report the news for his news station at a protest, and the cop is not happy with the protest, so he asked the cameraman to shut it off, and then it's Arrest Town, USA. So, let's go to that, John. You got it queued up?
Yep, it's all ready.
All right, let's do it.
In Newark today, a community gathered in an attempt to draw attention to their ongoing fight against senseless violence. It was a peaceful demonstration. That was until the march ended violently as a Newark police officer put a CBS 2 photographer in a chokehold, handcuffed him, and put him in the back of a patrol car. Our Christine Sloan nearly went with him. She has more now from a wild scene.
What started out as a peaceful march in front of a church by parents whose children have been murdered on the streets of Newark.
Put that camera away. Turn the camera off. Put the camera away. Put the camera away. My man, you heard what I just said, man? Now get the camera out of here right now.
You get your hands off my camera.
Turned violent when a Newark police officer arrested our CBS 2 photographer covering the story.
Stop!
Put your hands behind your back. No, he's going with me. He's going with me.
You can't arrest him!
I can do whatever I want.
The camera kept rolling as the officer put our photographer Jim Quartermine in a chokehold, then handcuffed him. Witnesses snapped these pictures.
He went to put the camera down before he got the opportunity to. The police officer just came and knocked it down, put the handcuffs on him, grabbed him by his neck. He was just it was just out of control.
I couldn't believe how they grabbed him and then grabbed you and tried to take your camera.
The officer placed our photographer in a cruiser for almost an hour.
That's stupid, man. We ain't got time for this.
But Councilwoman Mildred Crump, who was there attending church services, pushed for his release and talked to the officer.
I did show him the picture of your cameraman who was cuffed and in what appeared to be a chokehold. His side of the story is that he had asked him not to do it, and when he persisted, decided that he just wouldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, that's no side of the story at all.
Was not trespassing, shooting the story on public property. The Newark Police Department is not commenting. The officer even threatened to arrest me.
None of your business. Stay away from me right now, or you'll be sitting in that car.
One of the reasons I said we need to release your cameraman is because you have a constitutional right to videotape.
Wow, the Constitution.
What is going on.
The Newark Police Department says it won't comment until they have looked at all the facts. In the meantime, Councilwoman Crump says she will ask for an investigation. Christine Sloan, CBS 2 News.
Well, it sounds like all the facts are right there. Guy trying to record the news gets put in a chokehold by a police officer because he thinks he's all powerful. He's a big dude. And he won't even... The great thing is there's a reporter on the scene there, and he's threatening to arrest her, too. Well, I'm glad the councilwoman realizes the guy has a constitutional right to be there. No kidding. Whether he was with the news or not, he had a constitutional right there to be recording what was going on. These are public servants. Let me repeat it. They're not officials. They are public servants. We pay their wages with our taxes, our labor. So if they're public servants and you're on public property and I've got a camera, I can record. Let me talk slower for the police officer. You cannot put me in chokehold hold when I record you doing bad things. You know, next time, soon they'll just be, forget about the tasers, the chokeholds, the arrest. Soon they're just going to shoot you. It is going to be like pop. And, you know, the neocons will rave about it. Oh, you got an anti-war sign. That pig was wearing an Investigate 9/11 shirt. I'm glad he shot him in the chest. I wish he'd got him in the head. That'll be the attitude. All right. I said I take callers, and I keep my little promises. So, let's go to Todd in Texas. Todd, what's on your mind? We got you, Todd?
Man, good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, too.
Hey, the show has been focusing on some really important issues short term. I want to focus on something long term. Have you seen a documentary called Technocalypse?
No, not yet.
Man, it's crazy. It's a pro-transhumanism movie, and they interview some of the real big movers in it, and these people are scary. They're frightening.
Is Kurzweil in it?
It's called Technocalypse.
No, I know that, but is Stephen Kurzweil featured into it? He's one of those big technocrats.
He's in it, man. He's in it.
Of course he is.
It's got the guy Aubrey de Grey, who just put out an article talking about how we may already, there's a certain percentage that we may already be within a Matrix-like world. It's crazy stuff. But anyway, I thought it'd be something that you may want to check out. And,
I will.
I want to make a suggestion for a guest along those lines. There's a guy named Francis Fukuyama, and he wrote a book called Our Post-Human Future. And he's very anti-transhuman. He put out an article in Foreign Policy magazine about transhumanism being the most dangerous idea of our time.
It is pretty dangerous.
He was also a member of PNAC.
Oh, PNAC, Project for a New American Century. Oh, how nice. Todd, do me a favor. Take this information and the link to the movie. Go email it to Aaron@Infowars.com. I'll be in New York tomorrow. I'm going to try to pick up Technocalypse and watch it this week. I thank you for the call. All right, let's jump to the next call. Yeah, transhumanism is really scary. The reason I knew that Kurzweil would probably be in that movie is there's a plethora of documentaries and futurist programs out there in the mainstream, really, about these subject matters and how they really promote it. They're promoting the brain chip, the one world consciousness. If you don't believe me, check out PBS. They did one a couple years ago. It's just the whole history of the chip. They had somebody playing Aldous Huxley, who was the basically, he was the negative against it. Aldous is like, oh, this is the brave new world. But they even brought the actor Aldous Huxley around at the end, and he's like, oh, this is a great idea. Brain chips, great. All right, let's jump to Joe and Cali. Joe, what's on your mind? You with me, Joe?
Listen, I wanted to bring up this important question to you. It's an article that's covered in Jones Report and InfoWars. And the question is this. What do you think would have happened to you if you would have been caught on camera the day before 9/11 saying that our country would be a target of a terrorist attack coming in from a belly of a plane?
Well, I would imagine if it were me, the FBI would have been at my home. There would have been no call or another intelligence organization, and I probably would have been detained as a suspect and at least interrogated thoroughly. Continue.
That would have I agree with you. That would have happened to me too. But then let's take it one step further. Then you go on and admit on camera that you met as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee with the head of the Pakistani ISI director, Mahmoud Ahmed, George Tenet, CIA head, Senators Bob Graham and John Kyle.
And let's not forget Porter Goss.
Porter Goss, Deputy Secretary of State Richard Armitage, and Secretary of State Colin Powell, confirming that Pakistani intelligence was indeed funding the Taliban.
Well, let's not forget the National Security Council, who was also on that list, and our Vice President-to-be, Joe Biden. But again, continue.
Right. Which, by the way, kudos, you covered that on Fabled Enemies.
Thank you.
Now, then, this past, October 19th, 2008, 2 Sundays ago, fortune teller Joe Biden not only predicted, but promised and guaranteed an international crisis, a generated crisis, which, by the way, Webster's Dictionary says generated, premeditated design to bring about, including the Middle East, Russia, a nuclear-capable Pakistan, and, of course, what many experts, including the lady who got assassinated from Pakistan, the former leader.
Bhutto.
Bhutto told on David Frost's interview that Osama, which would include Osama bin Laden, who's long been dead.
Yeah, she said that he had been assassinated. Hold on, let me just stop you there. She actually said he had been assassinated by Omar Saeed Sheikh. Now, Omar Saeed Sheikh is the one that facilitated these wire transfers that you just discussed through the Pakistani ISI chief, General Mahmoud Ahmed. Continue.
Right. And my point is this. If an average American would have made these predictions with such impunity and certainty, then wouldn't an average American be arrested and interrogated for at least suspicion of terrorism?
Yeah, but when you're Joey B., it's not going to happen. I mean, Joey Biden, I thank you for the call. Let me just say that people did kind of, well, not only did the media pick up on it slightly, but Saturday Night Live did this piece this weekend, and I got to give props to Paul, basically one of the guys that does the board here. He showed me this thing, and it's hilarious. I mean, first he talks about how Pakistan will test. There will be a new test in Pakistan. You think, all right, ha ha ha, very funny. And then it starts getting into revelations, and there will be a man, and it will come, and there will be a disaster, and there will be 100 years of peace. And then they've got somebody playing Mirtha, all ridiculous, picking on the Pennsylvanians. So, Joey Biden, CFR member, Council on Foreign Relations, okay? He's been trying to be the president now in the last 2 elections, hasn't really got a lot of steam, but at the same time, he's a funny, charismatic guy. People do remember him, and he keeps up on the issues. He is well aware of one world government, quote-unquote, the New World Order. He wrote an article back in I believe it was the early 90s or late 80s, called How I Learned to Love the New World Order, for the Wall Street Journal. Check it out. All right, let's jump to Teresa in Denver. Teresa, what's on your mind?
Hey, how are you?
Great.
Listen, 4 points quickly.
Sure.
First of all, Van Buren, Martin Van Buren, dying words, there is but one reliance, one trust, is the Mays family, which are the heirs to the largest estate in America, which is out of Colorado, 4-point-some-odd million acres, including all mineral rights, water, gold, et cetera, that was put into an international trust back in the 1840s that still sits, and it only gets passed down to the heirs. I am amazed.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, finance. Worked special ops many years, negotiations, millions, billions, and trillions for stabilization of economies, et cetera, on the portfolio issue and the bank.
All right, hold your point. I'm going to let you come back on the other side and finish up. This is the Alex Jones Show. I am Jason Burmis. Check out my latest flick, Flay-Build Enemies, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv.
On September 11th, 2001, along with hundreds of my fellow troops, I went to Ground Zero, and we knew what to do. Or at least we thought we did.
Truth Rising is a breakthrough 9/11 film that finally gives first responders a platform to tell their story.
Whitman, EPA director, on the 18th made a statement that the air was safe to breathe.
This film follows the growing momentum of 9/11 truth as brave souls throughout the world take action against their global masters.
He had his hand over the radio while he was getting a countdown. He takes his hand off and you hear 3, 2, 1, and it was boom, 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 boom.
This is an emergency transmission worldwide. Download Truth Rising at prisonplanet.tv and aggressively spread it worldwide, or order the DVD at Infowars.com. If we don't expose the government-sponsored terror, they're going to commit more acts and bring in martial law.
Hi, John Hubner from Midas Resources. Are you tired of watching your hard-earned assets dwindle away? As government spending is out of hand and the Federal Reserve is creating in excess of $20 billion a week, are you tired of stockbrokers gambling away your hard-earned money? Is this market a setup for a crash greater than 1987? Too many of today's policies resemble those that led to the collapse of 1929. How much are you willing to lose? Take action now. Call me at 1-800-686-2237, extension 129. I believe that we are facing a financial catastrophe of biblical proportion. Over recent decades, numerous economic systems have failed. Current Federal Reserve policy and uncontrolled government spending have set the stage for the United States to be the next target. Secure your assets today by calling 1-800-686-2237, extension 129. Do this while paper can still buy gold. Call me, John Hubner, at 1-800-686-2237, extension 129.
Would you like to know how you can use water as fuel and laugh at the rising price of gas? Then keep listening for a very special offer. GasFreedom.info has the information you need to learn about the newest hydrogen technology available. Gas Freedom is an affordable, practical, free energy device. It uses electricity from your car's battery to separate water into a gas called HHO. HHO, also called Brown's gas, burns efficiently and provides the energy your car needs. In just 10 minutes, you'll discover exactly how this is possible. This is the secret the oil companies don't want you to know. Learn how easy it is to extract energy from water to run your car and experience the most powerful hydrogen cells available. Visit gasfreedom.info and receive $59.95 off of your order by using coupon code GCN. Turn any car into a hybrid and laugh all the way to the bank. Visit gasfreedom.info or call 239-628-3708. That's 239-628-3708. Call today.
Ionic Zone has the lowest prices in the USA on shock treatment ozone generators starting at $299. Ionic Zone shock treatment ozone generators are used by remediation contractors and homeowners alike to sterilize homes and cars, making them free from bacteria, molds, viruses, and complete removal of secondhand smoke, pet odors, you name it. What else can 3 oxygen atoms, in other words, ozone, do? Many hospitals sterilize their operating rooms with ozone before and after operations. And have you ever heard of ozone therapy? Ionic Zone has a wealth of information on ozone therapy. Ozone therapy is used, among other things, to raise the body's oxygen level, which studies suggest boosts the immune system. You can learn more about ozone therapy or Ionic Zone ozone generators by going to ioniczone.com or calling 800-549-9535. That's IONIC zone.com or toll free 800-549-9535. Ionic Zone.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm a huge Metallica fan, and Orion, one of the best instrumentals of all time. Let me say it again, of all time. But we're taking your calls. It's the Alex Jones Show over here. We have Teresa from Denver on the line, and she's talking about the heirs and their international trusts, and you were going through your second point, so please continue, Teresa.
Okay, finance. The bank audit that's happening right now in the world is basically secondary to, they put all these portfolios together and they skim the money off the top and they put every asset known to mankind into these portfolios, and eventually the portfolios turned out to less than zero in the negative arena. So by default, you're going to have a collapse like we have now. This was not planned. This is just, crappy finance.
So you really don't think that it's engineered in any way, shape, or form?
No, it's logic. There's a difference between somebody engineering something and logic.
Yeah, but listen, the top percentile are going to take this just like they took the 20s, and they're going to have more assets than ever and pennies on the dollar. So I've got to disagree with you there, but continue.
In finance, your highest level. I work special ops with the elite in the world in negotiations, millions, billions, and trillions for stabilization of economies. Mm-hmm. Now, the highest level of finance is a trust, which is the old money. Everything that everybody's talking about, Illuminati, blah 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 blah, royal bloodlines, etc., etc. Down from the trust, the highest level, are debentures, which break up the money by law, international law, the trust. Down from debentures are instruments, our notes, our deeds. Down from instruments are gold, and down from gold is coin, which is currency across the board. Mm-hmm. These 5 basic concepts of finance in the world, which run our world's economies, is unknown to the average Joe, much less the scholar. Okay, so if you put that into perspective, that's where you get finance. It's not some big, conspiracy. It's just pure logic behind the law, just like the law is, don't spit on the street.
All right, Teresa, I see your point, but I got to tell you, I think it's a lot more contrived than that. I think that these guys do engineer these types of things so that they can consolidate power. I don't think it's just a luck system. If that were true, then eventually some of these families would go under.
What does this lady think's not engineered?
She thinks that the financial crisis, she says she works Black Ops, and she also thinks that the financial crisis is not...
Oh, because she works Black Ops, she knows.
Well, she used to work Black Ops, and she says that it is mistakes.
Business Week, Financial Times, all these experts, they admit they're engineering it. Here's Dodd saying they're hoarding the money right here.
Yeah, there's no new mortgages, and they're just going to take the money from this bailout. They're not going to lend any more out.
Hey, fine. Hey, there's no New World Order either. Everything's fine.
All right, let's jump to Fred in Philly. Fred, what's on your mind, my man?
Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time on Teresa's call, but I'm with you on the on this recent crisis. Reason being, the IMF did issue a binding directive to pull in all the central bank's gold, and this was early this year, the spring, I believe, and also in 2007 they issued directives to that effect, that they were going to consolidate all the central bank's gold under their ownership.
Now, wait, by you saying consolidate all the central bank's gold, where is it going?
The text of it.
Yeah, where's it going, though? I mean, how do you consolidate the central bank's gold?
Like I say, that's something that was in print and electronic media. I don't remember. I guess you're going to have to take my word for it. I'm pretty reliable on what I had seen as far as their press release and their action.
Well, I got to ask you, what do you think the purpose of that would be to consolidate their gold? Do you think it's maybe to put it out there and then say that there's a shortage so that they'll have to round up the gold of American citizens like they did in the 30s?
I think you could, like I said, I don't have a conclusion. I think it is, if you want to do a show with Bob Chapman on that and specifically talk about it, I think that could be very fruitful.
Chapman will be coming up soon, actually. We just got in contact with him.
In doing that, we're reliant on the other central banks that are, not IMF, are going to be reliant on other forms of money, and I think that then that changes the political institutions of those countries.
Well, anytime that you're gonna change the monetary system, it's going to change the political institutions. They have to set up new unions.
I do think that it is basically the crisis was basically a push rather than a pull. You had a creation of credit through central banks, through the Federal Reserve. We know how that ballooned, and that was pushed through channels. It's not, janitors trying to get a house or something in the inner city, pulling in all of this credit. By the way, more than 80% of the capital in the bubble went to already well-heeled property.
Oh, yeah. People have more than one home, more than one business, slumlords. Come on, let's be real. I thank you for the call, Fred. We're going to continue with callers on the other side. Remember, I am a filmmaker. I'm out of town tomorrow, so I got to plug away. Fabled Enemies, Loose Change Final Cut. Get them, guys. What's the 2-pack, $30? Big deal. Hand them out. Make copies. It's Jason Burmis for The Alex Jones Show. We'll be back after this.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Are you tired of hearing that a cure for cancer is coming, but it will be available sometime in the future? At LaysMed Inc., the future is here. Now it's cancer's turn to die with our patented methodology. Without cutting, bleeding, drugs, or damaging radiation, we can kill skin cancer and breast tumors of any size, and many other types of cancer without adverse side effects at our outpatient facility. We offer a real solution using real science. Our unique approach to cancer treatment is what everyone has been waiting for. A simple, easy way to eliminate the threat of cancer. Laser technology at its best. To receive an information packet, call our treatment center at 501-255-0528. That's 501-255-0528. Or visit our website at laysmedinc.com. That's LASEMEDINC.com today.
A day unlike any other in the long course of American history, a terrorist act of war against this country.
The enemy struck America on September 11th. But who is the enemy?
Bin Laden. This is his MO.
We have to look to the Middle East. We have to look to Osama bin Laden.
Fabled Enemies is the first 9/11 film to take a close look at the terrorist ties to intelligence networks inside the United States.
Some U.S. investigators believe that there are Israelis again very much engaged in spying in and on the U.S.
I'm aware that some Israeli citizens have been detained.
Bin Laden's connections to the CIA, the hijackers' ties to the FBI, the Saudi Arabian connection, the Israeli intelligence network, warnings and war games, the shadow government, and much, much more. Fabled Enemies. Get the DVD at Infowars.com or see it in super high quality, along with hundreds of other titles at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
More than 700 chemicals have been found in our drinking water. And did you know that you have greater exposure to these chemicals while taking hot showers than when drinking the water? That's because many chemicals are inhaled when they evaporate, and others are absorbed into the skin. The KDF Dual Media Shower Filter works with both hot and cold water, and it's designed to reduce chlorine, lead, mercury, and iron, and it inhibits the growth of bacteria, mold, algae, and fungus. The KDF Dual Media Shower Filter typically lasts 10,000 gallons, or 1 year, whichever comes first. Hospitals, restaurants, and water treatment facilities use this media to reduce chlorine, iron, heavy metals, and bacteria. What about you? Order your KDF shower filter normally $49 for our special price of only $39.99 with free shipping. Call the Berkey Guy and order now by calling 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or simply click on the banner at gcnlive.com to order online now.
One Metallica tune to the next, huh? This is both off the same album, folks. The best Metallica album of them all, Master of Puppets. God, I love these tunes. Gets me totally jacked up. I'm about to get into the crazy-ass guitar solo. Just like, bump, bump, bump. All right. All right. It's the Alex Jones Show. I am in for Alex the last hour. I just love it, folks. I'm so stoked up to be able to take these guys on, to be able to say what no one else says, to be able to be a bastion of free speech. We do not censor your phone calls here. We do not screen you. I mean, if that's not obvious by the guests we have, I mean, for 2.5 hours yesterday, I had both sides of the spectrum telling me how great and bad Obama was and how great I guess no one said that McCain was great. I guess the person pulling for McCain did say he was the lesser of two evils, but we're taking them all. I mean, I just had a woman tell me that this financial crisis is all a big mistake. Yeah, right. They've only been trying to bring in the North American Union for years. They're only letting, tons of illegals come in to destabilize the economy here. They've only taken most people's 401ks and pension funds. They've only taken all the factory jobs. There's no more benefits out there for people. Remember the good old days? You work 40 hours a week, you come home to your family of 3 children and a wife, and you could sleep at night with one job. Your wife didn't need one. You had a couple cars still. This is late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s. Then in the 90s, it really started phasing out. Boy, not going to have so many factories here anymore. We're not going to build anything. All of a sudden, now, our money's worth less than the Canadian dollar. Think about it. We're supposed superpower empire of the globe. And for some reason, our neighbors to the north, who have nowhere near our military might, nowhere near, our financial capacity, supposedly, and their money's worth more. Well, don't worry. They'll gut our economy a little bit more. They'll bring Mexico's up, and then all suddenly, we'll all three be on parity. And it'll be in our best interest to do what the Securities and Prosperities Partnership Agreement said years ago. Build 4 superhighways, create a North American Union, and a new currency. That's what they want. All right, let's go to Dan in New York. How you doing, Dan? I hear it's snowing in upstate. I don't know where you're at there, but...
How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing good, man. I heard a little snowstorm, but you might be in the city, so you probably didn't get anything.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Good for you.
All right. I just wanted to comment on a few things.
Sure.
I wanted to talk about Teresa's call real quick.
Uh-huh.
Even if it's not planned, haven't they really benefited from it?
If it's not planned, why did they just give them all the money with no one being able to look at the document, to ever review it, or to look at what they do with it? Of course it's
really,
contrived.
They're like buying up all these big businesses and all these corporations. Oh, it's not planned. It's
no, never.
It's just, bad income.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about who I'm voting for.
Sure.
This is going to sound kind of bad, but I wanted to vote for Bob Barr.
I don't think that's that bad. For those that don't know, Bob Barr is a former conservative Republican congressman.
Very neoconic.
Very neoconic, but First Amendment. He's for the First Amendment. He's also for the Second Amendment. He has done the Alex Jones Show before. He says he's very well aware of the work. I mean, he's never come out for 9/11 Truth or anything like that, but he has taken an anti-war stance. The only problem I have with Barr is he's very rigid and not a great speaker. And one could argue that maybe Cynthia McKinney isn't the greatest speaker, but she's much less rigid to me, and she's more charismatic.
Like he voted for things like the Patriots Act, but he's built his whole campaign off fighting them, really.
Yeah. No, he has. I've seen the campaign. I mean, you can watch the commercials on YouTube. I'm not going to fault you for that. Hey, man, to me, if you're voting third party and you've gotten around the right-left paradigm and you realize that even though Bob Barr is not going to become president after the elections in a week, you're doing the right thing. You're trying to break the mold, man. And I hope millions of us out there this year do it. I really... You know how we get this country back? 1 in 10 of us starts voting third party, because it's not even 1 in 10. You know?
Yeah, I would say definitely don't vote for the two main parties. Vote for Ron Paul. I don't even care if you vote for Cynthia McKinney. I don't agree with her on most subjects. But
well, you know, she's a gun grabber. I'm with you there. I mean, you know what? I like McKinney, obviously. You know, everybody I've run across, I have problems with some of their positions. You know, there's no perfect candidate out there. And then if I want the perfect candidate, in my mind, I mean, and I'm far from perfect, it's like, well, I better put it on myself to run, and then I'll just get picked apart by everybody. Because Lord knows I'm a human being, you know. None of us are perfect out there, Dan. I thank you for the call. I hope you do go out there, you vote your heart. That's the way to go. Don't vote not to lose or for the lesser of two evils. Vote what you feel is right. God, man. If you're going to vote. I mean, if you're not going to vote, I don't care what you do. Whatever. You know, be slothful, lazy. You know, don't vote. I mean, it's not the worst thing. I mean, is it really going to matter this year? No, other than us putting out numbers and saying, you know, we're sick of the system. That's how it'll matter. The Jesse Ventura shirt that says, McCain, Obama, none of the above. None of the above is checked. All right, let's jump to Mike in California. What's up, Mike?
How you doing?
Good, man.
All right, yes, I had a quick question, and also another question after this one. But for people who live in urban environments, if they can't get to a rural environment in a martial law type situation, what do you think are some of their best choices?
What are your best choices? Well, I mean, that's a tough. You know, in an urban environment, that is tough. I mean, I often wonder if martial law ever comes to New York City, what the people on Long Island are going to do, because there's no way out other than the city. You know, none. I mean, there's waterways, but you're not going to get very far. I mean, the Navy will be out there quick, Coast Guard. They'll use all their resources. I would say try to have a plan, man. Try to know where perhaps a local airport is. I know that there's a couple strips. You think I'm joking? Try to have a helicopter's license, man, and have a friend. I don't know what to tell you. You're not going to be able to jump into the sewers with your family and make your way out of the city. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just not a reality. You know, I mean,
it seems like everyone, you know, a lot of everyone in the South or the southern states like Texas and those type of places, it seems like they have a better handle on that sort of thing than...
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, even Austin, bro, when you come down here, I mean, when I came down here, you can walk into Austin. All right, we're on the outskirts of downtown Austin. You kind of oversee it, but there are plenty of paddy cabs. In other words, there's a ton of bike cabs, and everybody walks around here. Even in a city of 1 million and more down there, because it's developing and it's big, it's small, it's easy to get. It ain't like being in Manhattan traffic for an hour and a half and getting 3 blocks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that is a nightmare just to get to the Lincoln Tunnel or over the George Washington Bridge. I feel you, man. I mean, all I could tell you is, you know what a way might be out? Get yourself a dirt bike or get yourself a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I mean,
that sounds like a great adventure.
Yeah, well, adventure, it might be your only way out, man. I mean, seriously, because I know how it is to get out of New York City. I mean, you could literally be sitting in Manhattan for 1 to 2 hours before you get over that bridge, and then once you hit, like, you know, the Garden State Parkway or something like that, it's easy outs if there's no traffic. If there's a disaster, or it's a weekend or a holiday weekend, you should see the people trying to flood. You could be in that traffic for 3 or 4 hours. So, you know what? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Because when I was younger, you know, I was in I won't say I was in the riots, but you know, when you're young, you're driving around, you want to see all this stuff going on, buildings burning up and all that stuff. And one of the things that I noticed is that the riots are kind of regulated to like the ghetto. You know, once you got up beyond that point into nice neighborhoods, they had like certain places blocked off, and then once it reached a certain point, then the National Guard came in, and then they shut off the power. And then that's when everything came to a halt.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. I watched them on TV. I thought they were wild. You know, I hope that never happens in America again. I don't think this needs to be a country for riots unless it's for the right reasons. And, you know, obviously it was messed up what happened to Rodney King, but you don't go and riot in the streets to take, television sets, radios, booze, money, jewelry. If you're going to riot about something, you riot outside the courthouse and say the system's wrong. Or you go to D.C. and you make your point there. I mean, I wouldn't even say riot. I'd say protest. You said you had another you had another question, Mike?
Oh, well, that was basically it. Just to get your take on that, because you sound like a big city person yourself. I mean, it's interesting that you and Alex have created a bond, and being that he sounds Southern, as Southern as they get, and you sound like a city guy.
Yeah, I hang out with a lot of city folks. Again, I'm in upstate New York. I'm in a college town. Most of my friends are from Long Island or Queens or the Bronx. I go there once or twice a month, but I'm in the country myself, and I can't imagine actually having to live in the city. I like being in the city, like maybe once a month for a few days. Even a week is too long for me because it's tough out there. I thank you for the call, Mike. I mean, if you've never really spent an awful lot of time in an urban area, it is so much different in a rural area, and vice versa. Some of these not even city cats, but like people that are from Dutchess County or a few counties up from New York City that are still 90 minutes from the city. When they see where I live with Amish folks and horse and buggy, they can't even imagine it, man. You mean there's not a shopping mall 5 minutes away from you? Well, no, actually, there's not a shopping. I got to drive an hour to go to a mall. What? Wait, what do you do for fun? Not much. I'm out in a cornfield most of the time. All right. Let's jump to William in Alabama. William, what's on your mind?
All right, hello. The Master of Puppets are pulling the strings. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Said you were a Metallica fan.
Big time, my friend. I mean, even though the song's about cocaine, who ships it in? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's time for an awakening here in America. The bailout didn't help the American public, and only the banks, of whom have thrown the coup on the American public. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's be real here. This is now going to be not only a restructuring of the economic system when this is all said and done, but it is really going to be a restructuring of the social system here at home, because the banks are now going to be even further regulated by the government. And if you can't pay your mortgage loan, that is going to be government property. Forget about eminent domain. Again, they'll be able to do mass land seizures. And on top of that, they'll be able to set up more bureaucracies so you don't lose your home. So when the economy does go under, they'll give you a choice. They'll be like, well, you can always work for us on the weekends, and maybe we'll give you a full-time gig, and we'll let you keep your house. We'll just take it out of your paycheck every week, your mortgage or your rent or whatever. But, they'll probably still put a clause in there where they own it. So, yeah, this is a huge... I mean, it's not even a silent coup. I can't even call it a silent coup. It's just a bloodless coup. Continue.
It makes me nervous because it's like we're going into what Zimbabwe is right now. What happens when it eventually happens? I mean, we're all going to be billionaires. Of course, that $1 billion that we have is nothing worth of what it was, say, in 1904 when, what was it, 4 cents on what today's dollar is?
Oh, yeah, something like that. Yeah, no, I don't know what's going to happen. Again, it could end up in the 20s where you could have a barrel of greenbacks and it ain't going to make a bit of difference. That's why we have people like Bob Chapman on here. That's why we have Ted Anderson on here. If you have precious metals, they will be worth something somewhere else, even if the economy crashes here. I thank you for the call, William. Let's jump to Chris in Florida. Chris, what's on your mind?
Yes, I think that one of the major reasons to stop drilling oil is that it's lubrication for the planet. There are many studies that if you Google earthquakes, oil drilling, and tsunami, there are many university studies that show that there's a correlation between the oil drilling and the amplitude and severity of earthquakes.
Well, let me stop you there for a second. Everybody's always talking about we need to drill. Like I had McGovern on yesterday, and he kind of ended with his peak oil theory that, we're running out of oil, we got to stop drilling there. And now you're coming here and you're saying, and I am in full agreement with you, I don't think we need to drill for oil at all. There are plenty of alternative methods of energy. Here's the problem. It's never going to happen because they literally have a sick monopoly on the oil fields. Right today, guys, nationally, gas is at a 3-year low at $2.59. Think about that. At $2.60, that's a 3-year low. And as soon as they got their oil fields in Afghanistan and their pipelines through there in Iraq, and their oil in Afghanistan and Iraq, and basically took over the majority of the supply, they're already buddy-buddy with Saudi Arabia, they jacked the price up. So how are we ever going to get away from oil? Well, you have to prosecute the criminals at the top, and then you have to take their resources and split them up. You can't let them have these sick monopolies. And only by doing that are we ever going to bring in alternative methods of energy. So,
we need to be...
I'm just saying, how are we going to do it? How are we going to stop these cartels who literally have billions and trillions of dollars at their disposal? And oil, not only is it our gas and we need it for that, but your DVDs are made out of oil. Most of our products are made out of oil. It is literally one of the biggest life forces out here. And yes, there all are alternatives, but how do we break the monopoly, Chris?
Well, I didn't say to break the monopoly.
Yeah.
Well, that is part of it, of course, but not directly. Of course, if each of us take a stance in alternative energy, it'd be nice if we were like the German government, subsidizing those who decide to invest in renewable, like solar or wind power.
Yeah. Well, I would also say let's take it a little bit further. Let's start taking it upon ourselves to bring solar energy to our homes. There's got to be a small businessman out there that's got a lot of motivation to make a big business out of it, because they don't want you to use solar energy, because solar energy is free after you buy the equipment. The sun's going to be around, folks. It's going to be there, and that's why you haven't seen any of that. And it's just like, you ever see Who Killed the Electric Car?
Oh, yeah, I did, but I'm saying that we need to make a choice to